Let's start with the prayers. Om Gajanana Padmarkam Gajanana Maharnisham Anekadantam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Viṣṇuh Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. Any questions regarding any of the previous classes? If you have any questions, you can unmute and ask. And if it is in the middle, then you can raise your hand in the reactions button and then unmute yourself and ask the questions. Okay, I think we were on the slide of Saṁskṛta letters. So go to the, okay, you can see my screen all right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, the Saṁskṛta aksharas can be classified into three groups. One is swaras or vowels in English, and swaras have a nickname or a shortcut name given by Pāṇini. It's called ach, just 1.5 syllables. Ach means all the swaras. We will know later on, we'll study later on, how did Pāṇini assign these abbreviations. Okay, that's one of the topics introducing Pāṇinian sutras. But for the time being, swaras are vowels, and in Pāṇinian language, it is called ach. Okay, ach means all the swaras. Again, I think we looked at the different modulation points, or the points of articulation or points of modulation in the human voice system. Mainly there are 6: Kantha, the throat; Talu, the palate; and Murdha, the roof of the mouth; and Dantaha, the teeth; Oshtav, the lips; Nasika, the nose. So let's look at a little more detail about the swara aksharas in this class. Okay, Raj has a question.
Yes, my name is Rajkumar Jalan. So earlier you mentioned that there was no particular script for Sanskrit. So I'm trying to understand how this beautiful classification of sounds and where they are produced from can be done if there was not a particular, script associated with the language.
See, all the swaras and vyanjanas, they are sounds. There is no need for a script, and there was no script for several centuries. But this came, all the Vedas, Vedic literature, they're called Shruti for a reason, because at that time there was no writing, there is no symbols, there is no letters to write. So it is all somebody precisely spoke, and the students learned exactly. So all the things we are talking about is a specific kind of sound. A swara is a specific kind of sound. And that sound can be denoted by any language. Okay, you can write in Devanagari A, or in Roman A, as long as there is a universal understanding as to how to pronounce a given notation. All the letters, aksharas, are just a pictorial notation of a sound. Any script, any letter in any language for that matter, is a pictorial notation representing that sound. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, so I guess then the Devanagari script was designed with the that sort of phonetics in mind, I suppose.
Yeah, that is true for all languages, because whenever there is a sound, that language will develop a notation or a script for that sound.
Now, I understand that most languages try to produce different sounds, but these classification of the, rasva, dirgha, and this kantha, talu, all these kind of mappings, at least we have never seen in English, is my point.
Yes, that part is true, because that is very specific to Saṁskṛta and Saṁskṛta based Indian languages. This much detail about where the sound is modulated, how much effort is put where, all these details is what makes the phonetics of Saṁskṛta and also the grammar of Saṁskṛta so special compared to other languages. Because all languages have these phonetics and have this grammar structure, but that is the detail to which Saṁskṛta goes, centuries ago, is what makes it a little apart from other languages.
But I get confused again when you say Sanskrita, because if Sanskrita original,
yeah,
not have an associated script,
yeah,
that means that Devanagari script captures the subtleties of the requirements of Sanskrit by design.
Not necessarily. Most Indian languages do.
Okay.
Okay, my mother tongue is Kannada.
Okay.
And Kannada actually has, I'm not being too patriotic, I'm just being realistic. Kannada has all the letters, the sound, of course, anybody can reproduce the sound, but Kannada lipi or the script has all the letters of all the, the swaras and vyanjanas that are listed here in the Devanagari language. Plus, it has a couple more. Same way, some languages like Marathi might have a few more letters and sounds than Sanskrita.
Same with Sindhi.
Same with Sindhi. Okay.
Okay.
So the script is not necessarily specific of Devanagari. Okay. So the specific of Sanskrita. And we are there. A lot of people study Sanskrita and grammar in great detail, even without knowing how to write. But they have to resort to the transliteration. Otherwise, the pronunciation may not match what is written. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
May I have one small question?
Sure.
I'm just confused with two different numbers that they are saying in Google. They're saying 50 alphabets in Sanskritam, and some say 51. What is
it? We will get to that detail right on this slide.
Okay.
That is understandable. Whenever you ask the question, just tell your name.
Pratima.
Okay. So we will address that question.
Thank you.
Right on this slide, the swaras. Let's go by the slide. Now we will go to some detail in the text also, because this is the pronunciation in the first part in the text also. But here I made it a little more color and put a little more details into it. So this has more information compared to a similar page in the text, which is in black and white. Okay, now let's coming back to the slide. Now we know that there are 6 points of articulation. So right now in this slide, we will concentrate only on the vowels or swaras. And in the next slide, we will look into the consonants or vyanjanas. Now, as you can see here on the top row, we have swaras. And if you can see my cursor, I have swaras and swaras in swaraha, which is plural. for swara, plural of swara. Swaraha is singular, swaraha is plural, and the same thing is written in the transliteration. And I have vowels, and I have a set of numbers in the parenthesis. So that is actually depending on how much detail you want. You can say there are 9 vowels in Saṁskrita, or 13 vowels in Saṁskrita, or 22 vowels in Saṁskrita, or 132. That is the highest number, covers everything. How do we get these different numbers? We will talk about that. Okay, we'll explain all those things.
The spelling should be corrected, vowels.
Yes. Now I can't do that now. Now
Okay.
I can't do that now. I will do that later on. Thanks for bringing that up. Maybe this is another reason why we have only one va. Maybe that is reflecting in my spelling also. Okay. Based on the point of articulation. Now everybody is familiar with the common letters a, e, u, r. This l is a vowel, sounds almost like la, but this is a vowel. Just like r sounds almost like ra or r. L is a vowel, sounds almost like la or l sound. Okay, but this is a vowel. Now this one vowel is kind of a specific to Sanskrita. Most of the other Indian languages do not have that. Now this, let's look at this first, these 5 swaras only. Now as you can see here, they're all short or raswa. You can see that first row is a, e, u, r, r. All of them are raswa or short. Okay. Now, if you watch your pronunciation carefully, you can see that the contact or the modulating point is deep in the throat. Okay. Whereas when you say E, you can see that your lip is widening and your tongue is almost touching the roof of the mouth on the sides. E. U, you can see the modification of the lips to pronounce the sound as U. So that is why U is labial, A is guttural or kantya, and E is talabya or palatal. U is oshtya. Oshtya is the sound modulated at the oshtav. Again, oshtav is dvivachana because we have a pair of them. And when you say r, this is the rishi, ritu, that r, then you can see that your tongue is kind of a rolling back to at the roof of the mouth. And when you say l, then you can feel that your tongue touches the backside of the teeth, because that is where the modulation point, and that is why those sounds are classified under that groups. Okay, kantha, this is the modulation or the sthana or the point of articulation. Talu, oshtav, murdha, and danta. Okay. Now, in the common language, in non-Vedic practical Sanskrita, and most of our other languages, even including English, we generally use 2 lengths of time for all the letters. We say especially actually whenever we learned as kids in the 1st grade or kindergarten, we didn't say a, e, u, r, r. We said a, e, u, r, r, like that we want. So there are 2 lengths we pronounce. So hraswa and dirgha are very commonly used. So now let's look at the dirgha. So for hraswa or dirgha, the modulation point or the point of articulation is still the same, because the change is only in the duration or length of pronouncing that letter. A, e, u, u, r, r. The r letter doesn't have a dirgha version, it's only short. So the length of time, however many milliseconds or maybe milliseconds required for pronouncing a dirgha is almost double of that required for pronouncing a hrasva for all these 4 letters. So we are familiar with a, I, u, r, r. Then a, I, o, au. Now, in some of the languages, especially in Saṁskṛta, A and O have a dirgha version also. It has a hrasva version also. We learned as a, I, u, r, e, I, o, au. Whereas in Saṁskṛta language, there is only dirgha version of A and dirgha version of au. So these 4 letters you see here, those do not have a word hrasva form. It is understandable because A is a combination. It is a diphthong, combination of 2 vowels. A and E together becomes A, and A and U together becomes O. So they are diphthongs, so naturally it makes sense to have it as only dirgha. Okay. So now, let's look at some of these numbers. First one is, I said, the 9. Now later on we will see a chart. Pāṇini rearranged all the letters of Saṁskrita in a different way. All the same letters, but reorganized in a different way.
Yeah, one quick question here. This is Swaminathan here.
Yeah.
The dirgha for that one, A, I, O, au, the transliteration, there is no dash. Is there a specific reason for others?
Okay. Good that you brought it up. Last time somebody asked the question about the 2 transliteration standards. What is the difference? This is one of the difference. Even though there is only dirgha version, one of those transliteration standards put a dirgha on top of A also. And in the other version, because it is all dirgha only, they didn't see the need of putting a dirgha, because anybody a little into the Saṁskrita grammar know that A, I, O, au are dirgha. There is no hrasva version. So if there is only dirgha version, then why put the dirgha? That is one of those standards. Okay, so it is just the difference between the 2 standards. I tend to follow, like whenever I do transliteration, I put the A, I, O, au without a dash on top. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, okay. It is just a standard specification. I thought
Yes.
some inconsistency.
Yes.
That's fine. Yeah, that answers. Thank you.
Because last time somebody asked why there are 2 standards, are there any difference? These are the 2 differences. One is how they denote the anuswara, and then how they denote the A, I, O, au diphthongs with a dash or without a dash. Okay, now the Pāṇini in his all grammar sutras, he listed only 9 vowels. A, I, U, R, R, A, I, O, au. So that is the first number 9 I have, 9 for the vowels. So if you go by what is the Pāṇinian chart says, it refers to only 9 vowels. Then of course, for each of those, there are different varieties. He discusses that in a different context. Okay, but if you look at the Pāṇinian chart, which will go on maybe next couple of slides later, we will see that it lists only 9 as 9 vowels. A, I, U, R, R, A, I, O, au. That is the 9 I get. Okay, so this 5 plus these 4. That is the first number 9. So if somebody asks how many vowels in Saṁskrita, then you can say the Pāṇinian sutras list 9 vowels. Okay, smallest number. Then where did the 13 come from? But in the literature, we see in all the literature, we see hrasva and dirgha for this. So add these 4 dirghas. That makes 13, the second number you see here. Okay. Now, as I maybe briefly mentioned sometime, in Sanskrita, there are 3 lengths, even though commonly used ones are hrasva and dirgha, 1 matra and 2 matra lengths. There is another one which is called 3 matra length. The name is pluta, which is prolated, or you can say extra long. Okay? That is like oh. So in common Saṁskṛta, the pluta is used only when you are calling somebody from a distance. Okay, so the last vowel of the name is made long, triple, 3 times the rasva. And the notation for that, you write the dirgha and write a number 3 right next to it or as a suffix. So that indicates that is a pluta, prolated or extra long, 3 matras. So you have to draw the dirgha more than the dirgha. Now, all these 9 letters listed here, they have in pluta version. So that means you add this 13 and 9 pluta letters, that makes the total 22 vowels. Is that part clear? Because 132 is a much bigger number. We'll come to that briefly.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's see. How did we get 132? Now, for example, let's say letter A, the basic short or natural or swatantra swara, basic one, A. So as you can see here in the chart itself, we have 3 lengths, rasva, dirgha, pluta. Okay. So there are 3 varieties of A by length only. And then
This is Chandu. Where do we use this pluta?
yeah, as I mentioned just now, the pluta is generally used when you are calling somebody from a distance.
Oh, okay.
Like, for example, if you want to say, call Rama, you say Rama, right? The last vowel is drawn extra long.
Okay.
And in Veda, in Sama Veda, there are a lot of occasions where this pluta is used, specifically in Sama Veda. And Upaniṣads connected to the Sama Veda.
Keno Upanishad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we are trying to find out how did the number 132, such a big number, came about. Okay. So we have these 3 lengths, this is a time duration. And then each of these durations, like Hrasva, Dirgha, and Pluta, each of that can be pronounced with a low pitch, moderate or medium pitch, or high pitch. So there is 2 or 3 swaras. Okay, Udatta, which is the normal, Anudatta, low pitch, Swarita, high pitch. Okay, I am not much into music, so I may not be able to different, especially through the microphone, make out the difference between the 3. But people who have even basic musical knowledge will be able to understand this and reproduce that also. So for me, I will just explain that Anudatta is low pitch, Udatta is medium pitch, and Swarita is high pitch. Now these 3 terminologies, Udatta, Anudatta, Swarita, you will come across in Vedic chanting also. There is a small difference between the Vedic swaras and the Pāṇinian usage of swaras. Okay, in Pāṇinian notation, generally Anudatta is denoted by a underline under that letter. Okay, whichever letter has to be pronounced Anudatta, it will have a underline. And Udatta will have a apostrophe right on top, not to the right, right on top. Okay, and that is Swarita. Udatta is without any notation. And Pāṇini uses this for some other uses also that we will talk about when we come to the book 1, somewhere in the middle of the course. Okay, now, so for these, each of these 4 letters, A, I, U, R, we have 3 lengths and 3 pitches, pitch or frequency, sound frequency. So that will be 9 varieties for A, I, U, R. Okay. Now, each of these 9 can be pronounced partially nasalized or purely non-nasalized. Like, for example, I can say a or I can say a. Now, a is non-nasalized, a is nasalized. And the Hindi speakers will very readily catch this because there are a lot of vowels in Hindi which are nasalized, especially the plurals. Aata hoon, aate hain, all those things. Now the hain is like writing I and pronouncing it nasally. So now you see each of these four letters, I, U, R, have 3 times 3 times 2, 18 different varieties. Even though Pāṇini represents just with one letter A, that stands for 18 different variations of akara, a varna. Same is true for I, U, and R. Okay. In the case of R, you can see that there is no dirgha. Okay. So it is 3 times 2 times 2, 12 varieties. So, in the same way, A doesn't have hraswa, A, I, O, Au do not have hraswa. So these 4 diphthongs have only 12 varieties because they don't have the hraswa. But they have udatta, anudatta, swarita, and nasalized and non-nasalized. Now, if you put all these together, all the letters like I, E, U, R, the 4 letters times 18, and the other 5 times 12. So that is how you get 132. Okay. So if somebody asks how many vowels in Sanskrit, then you can say all these 4 different numbers, and you can explain how these numbers came about. We are not into the Vyanjanas yet, but Vyanjanas are less confusing. It's more fixed the number. Okay, and towards the end here, there are 2 special characters, which is Anuswara and Visarga. Anuswara in Devanagari, it is the dot you put on top of any of the letters. And then Visarga is the 2 dots to the right of the letter. And in some other languages, like for example, in Kannada and maybe in Telugu also, the Anuswara is denoted by a 0 to the right of the letter. Now, both of these, Anuswara and Visarga, they follow a vowel. They are not independent letters. They always have to immediately follow a vowel. So you can say A and Visarga, you pronounce as A. E and Visarga, you pronounce as I. U and Visarga, you pronounce as U. And say Au plus Visarga, you say O. Okay. And Ma is like very close to the ma sound, the makara sound, but it changes based on what letter comes afterwards. We'll talk about that in a lot more detail in the pronunciation as well as the Vyanjana Sandhi part of the volume 2 textbook we are going to follow. Okay.
I just have one question. I don't know, 132. So you have to do A as 3 of them, udatta, anudatta, and swara.
Yeah.
So 3, 3, 3. So it's 9, 9 plus 9. So 36 for 4 lines, correct?
No. For the four letters, it is 18 times 4.
4 letters. We have A, I, A is 3 letters, correct?
Okay, 3 letters, and there is 3 pitches. Udatta, anudatta, swarita. That is 9, right?
Right. So
And
9.
Each of those 9 can be nasalized and non-nasalized.
Oh, okay.
So these 4 is 4 times 18. Hope my math is right. 4 times 18 and 5 times 12.
5 times 12, right.
Okay. So that is how we get the number 132.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions about the vowels? Now let's go to a little more detail about the sthana. Akara is kantya or guttural. Ikara, all the 18 varieties of ikara the modulation is palate or thalu. Ukara, all the 18 varieties, modulation is labial at the lip. Rikara is all murda, there's retroflex or cerebral. And all the 12 varieties are dental. Now we can see that these diphthongs will have 2 points of combination of 2 points of articulation. Because as I mentioned, A and I are different combinations of A and E. Okay. When we come to the swara sandhi part, say guna sandhi and vriddhi sandhi, the 2 sandhis, they describe about this modulation of A and I, O and O. Okay. So A is a combination of akara, which is guttural, and ikara, which is palatal. So A and I both are guttaro-palatal. Okay. Or in Saṁskṛta, it is kantatalu is the sthana. Whereas O and Au, you can see that the modulation happens here on the throat and also at the lips. So it is kantoshtam, or kantoshtam is the kantha and lips is the combined sthana. So they are all guttaro-labial. Okay, so that is about where these all the different varieties of swaras are modulated. Okay, and makara or the anuswara, as you can see just by pronouncing it, it is nasal, and which is like ha, is from the throat. So the visarga, the modulation point is kantha, and anuswara modulation point is nasika, nose.
Priyam Jagadishaji, this is Rajesh.
Yeah.
Question. So we have in Gananam Tva Ganapati Gum.
Yeah.
Is that a letter or what? What is that? The gum sound.
Okay, that has a different notation and different name, and that notation is only in Vedic Saṁskrita, and that is used. The gum sound is used only in Vedic Saṁskrita, and when a anuswara is followed by sha, sa, sa, ha. Okay. Because whenever you see that notation, there's a special notation for that, and we won't cover it in detail because we don't come across that in the general Saṁskrita. So there is a rule specific for the Vedic Saṁskrita that explains the gum. So the anuswara, when followed by sha, sa, sa, ha, will be pronounced as gum in the case of Vedic Saṁskrita.
Thank you, Jagadishaji.
Okay. Okay, if there are no more questions, let's go to the consonants. Okay, so this is a list of consonants. This is a little more busy slide because we have so many consonants also. And again, let's a little more varieties, because Vyanjana, as we can see, it puts a little more taste into the swara. They're not as plain as the swaras. So Vyanjanas, strictly speaking, a pure Vyanjana letter cannot be pronounced. So the Vyanjana letter is always either succeeded or preceded by a vowel. When we write the letter like here, ka, ka, even though we write it as Vyanjana, but it is a combination of ka, is k and a. For pronunciation's sake, we always add an akara at the end for all Vyanjanas just to make it pronounceable. Otherwise, if you say k, that sound won't come out without a vowel. So it's a standard practice to add an akara to a Vyanjana whenever we are talking about the pronunciation. Now, this part is true even in English. All the vowels, when you say the vowel, any of the 5 vowels, you can say A, E, I, O, U. Whereas when it comes to the consonants, there is always a vowel attached either after or before. For example, B is pronounced as B as if it is written as B-E-E. Okay, and B, D are just like as if a ikara is added at the end after the consonant sound. And in some cases, the vowel part comes in the before, like F. Even though the sound F is just F sound, a E is added when you pronounce it, so you can pronounce the F. Okay, F, M, N, L, all of those things have a vowel pronounced before that. And if somebody is in a pronunciation class, then even though you would say L for pronunciation's sake, you may have to write is E-L or E-L-L. Okay, now there are different ways of classification of the consonants. So let's look at this Thana related classification. Now we can see that here we wrote it as we generally write in our chart. Ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, jha, ja, nya, ta, ta, da, dha, na, ta, tha, da, dha, na, pa, pa, ba, pha, ma. Okay. Then ya, ra, la, va, they are not added in the bottom. Like generally when we write a letters chart, we write all these 5 by 5 matrix and then write ya, ra, la, va, then sha, sha, sa, ha, all those things one below the other. But here this chart is put to show this thana or the point of articulation. Now we can see that all the kavarga, these 5 letters belonging to the ka group, they're collectively called as kavarga, the group of belonging to ka. Okay. So if you concentrate on where the vibrations are happening or where the contact is happening, you can see that ka, ka, ga, gha, nga, they're all modulated at the base of the throat. Okay, so that is why they are called gutturals or kṛdantas. It's like a and ka. Okay. Same way, all the chavarga, cha, cha, ja, cha, nya. Okay, and their modulation point is talu, just like E. And similarly, if you can watch closely, the yakara is very similar to E or cha, because if you watch where your tongue making contact with the rest of the mouth, then you can see that there's a commonality between E, cha, cha, ja, cha, nya, niya, and also the Śāṅkara-bhāṣya. Now these are 2 additional sakaras. A lot of times people might have a little confusion about their sthana, but this Śāṅkara-bhāṣya is talavya. So if you are pronouncing it in a different way, now you are a little conscious that sha being a talavya, while pronouncing sha, the sides of the tongue, both sides of the tongue will touch the roof of the mouth and the air will come through a channel in the center. Now my camera is a little to my left. So when I say Śāṅkara-bhāṣya, this is how my tongue should be. Sha, sha. Okay. Now the lighting is good enough. So that is why I thought this pronunciation of sha and sa is better when we have a face-to-face class. So that's like sha. The tongue is not rolling. If the tongue is rolled up, then that will be the Shanmukha sha, the next one. Okay. So cha, cha, ja, ja, nya, ya, and sha. They have the same sthana, talavya. So it is similar to, among the vowels, it is similar to the E. The ta, ta, da, dha, na are the so-called ta varga. Now they are all murdhanya, and so the tongue will roll backwards and the tip will make contact with the roof of the mouth. Ta, ta, da, dha, na. Same the case with ra, and sha. And generally, this Murdanya or cerebrals are a little tougher to articulate. And generally, this is the case where the babies are learning the language. They'll have the biggest problem, or the latest practiced letter will be these Murdanyas. And Oshtau and Kanta are the much easier ones. Okay, so Murdanya, Ta Ta Da Dhana, the Ra, and the Shanmukha Sha. They are, the contact will be tip of the mouth rolled back and at the roof. Or tip of the tongue rolled back, contact in the roof of the mouth. Danta, simpler. The contact will be, the tongue will be touching the back of the teeth. That is why they are called Dantyas. So in the Dantyas, Tata, Dhadana, and La, and Sa. Okay, and similar to R in among swaras. Oshtau is the simplest because you can see the lips contacting each other. So Papa, Bhabama are the group consonants. You can see the lips touching each other in all the 5 letters. That's why they are Oshtau. And the Vakara also, because lips do not actually touch, but you can see that lips have a strongest role in pronouncing Vakara. Okay, now that is the classification of consonants based on the sthana. So the consonants are the numbers, number-wise. Consonants are less confusing because that is 5 by 5 group consonants. Kavarga, ka, cha, ta, ta, pa, varga. 5 times 5, 25 group consonants. Plus you have what is called semi-vowels, yara, lava, okay, which are not much softer to pronounce. So yara, lava, and they have their corresponding sthanas. And the 3 sibilants, or the hissing sounds, 3 sakaras, those also have their sthanas. And then ha is a kind of a standalone. Okay, its sthana is kanta again. When you say, you can say ha, you'll feel that the throat has a part in modulating that. So if you see this, then you have 25 plus 8, 33. Okay, so consonant wise, there's less confusion. There are 33 consonants, and vowels, there's a little numbers can vary, but for most practical purposes, vowels you can say, because Rasva and Dirgha are there in all languages or all cases. I can say 22. Okay, 22 vowels and 33 consonants. Okay, in common literature. And if you are purely in a grammar class, grammatic study, then you can say 132. Okay. Is the question of the numbers answered? We have some more details about the consonants to talk about here.
No, I just, one of the big Swami in India, his book says that if you are doing some japa, do like with a 50 of, 50 Sanskritam letters. So I was like, I counted and I didn't get 50 or 51.
Okay.
And even right now, as we speak, we have 33 of consonants, and you're saying 22 makes it 55, right? So it's not 50 or 51, as they say in Google.
Yeah, I don't know. But here you have, this is all based on Saṁskṛta grammar studies.
Okay, very good. Thank you. It's very clear now. Thank you.
Okay. And then, you can't even say that, because each of these consonants can take up all the 22 swaras. Like you can say kaka, kiki, kuku, keke, kai, koko, kau, kam, kaha. So each just the ka, and then the 80 varieties of that. So just and then that is just a single consonants. The consonants can be combined consonant, right? There can be kra. That can be pra.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the number of letters, so to say, is a lot more.
I tell you, it's such a great architecture. I could never imagine so detailed.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So now,
Jagdishji, I have one question, Shalini.
yeah.
Why do we have this in vowels also we have ra, la, wa, and why is it in the consonant page?
Oh, this is just to say, just for completion's sake, I put that in here.
No, I'm talking about this one, the ya, ra, la, wa.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce this ra different from the ra in
Okay.
vowels?
Ra in the vowel is not pronounced as ra, it is pronounced as r.
Okay.
Okay. So, and it is treated as a swara, r. Like when you say rishi, we have been spoiled by English, where they write R-I-S-H-I. So we think it is like a ri, yeah, just like R-I. But the original from Saṁskṛta, it is not R-I. It is, if you have to strictly write it, you have to write it as R under dot and no I. So rishi will be written as R under dot, S under dot, and I. Transliteration, purely grammatical, or the transliteration of the word rishi, according to the grammatical transliteration, will be R under dot, S under dot, I.
Okay. And the same thing with the l, you have one vowel, right?
Yeah, but really you can, a lot of times you can ignore because there's not a lot of letters that use that letter. There's not a lot of words that use the letter as a vowel.
Okay, thank
you. So even when we come to the sandhi, for completion's sake, we include l, but when we have to get an example, it is very hard to find examples. But here you can see that because of their sthana, it correctly fits into this empty slot. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Now, some other ways of classification of the consonants. Now you have heard like a hard consonants and soft consonants. I don't know whether that kind of a classification is there in English or not, but in all Indian languages or Saṁskṛta-based Indian languages, we have this classification of hard consonant and soft consonants, or mrudu, karkasha vyanjana and mrudu vyanjana. Okay, karkasha is the equivalent of hard in Sanskrita. So, let's first look at this group of 5 times 5 matrix. Okay, the first two are hard consonants because when you make the ka sound, there is a very hard contact at the base of the mouth, ka. Whereas the same kanta, but when you say ga, then it is a softer consonant. So the first two are called hard consonant, kaka, cha-cha, ta-ta, ta-ta, pa-pa. They're hard consonants. And the next three of the group are soft consonants. Okay, ga, gha, na, ja, ja, nya, da, da, na, ta, tha, da, dha, na, and ba, bha, ma. They're all soft consonants. And the same way, when you come to the other non-group ones, yara, lava, they are alpa pranas, or they are they're soft. Alpa prana, mahaprana will come later. They are soft, where a sha, sha, sa are hard, and ha is soft. Okay, this hard soft is like a how hard contact does the modulation point do. Like if you let's say examples like cha. If you can feel that cha and ja are a little different. The amount of pressure the tongue puts on the palate is lesser in case of ja, ja, nya compared to cha, cha. That is why they are called cha and cha are called hard consonants. Okay. So this is the soft and hard. So you can see that the things are, I put these details, lot more details. You can see that the header has lot more details than the number of letters because of the classification. So these are contact vowels, like these are the hard contact vowels. And then these yara, lava, they're called semi-vowels in English. And in the case of Saṁskṛta, the name is antastha. Okay. They have slight contact. You can see that here, slight contact, not as much of touch between the modulation points compared to the Vargiya Vyanjanas or the group consonants. Vargiya Vyanjana is group consonant, English, and these are not Vargiya because they do not belong to the same group, but they share the point of articulation, but the contact is slight. And the next way of classification is alpa prana and mahaprana, that is non-aspirate and aspirate. Now this is very easier. This is easier to see this. Non-aspirate is like to pronounce a non-aspirate, you expel lesser air for each letter compared to an aspirate. Now the aspirate is like adding a H sound after the consonant. So that you can see that here in the transliteration. Ka is Ka, Ka. So you can see that Ka and Ka. When you say Ka, you have to expel more air per letter. This is why they are called Mahapranas. More prana or breath comes out. Alpa prana is slight breath. So alpa prana, Mahaprana. So Ka, Ga, that's all this Nga or Ga and the Yara, Lava, they are all alpa pranas. Okay. And if you see when you pronounce sha, sa, sa, you can see there's a lot of friction and a lot more air has to be expelled per letter. That's why these are all Mahapranas. Okay. And I made my own notation. When a hard consonant, I used black letters. Soft consonants, I used blue letters. Okay, just to make it more clear. And then alpa prana, I used the simple letters, and for mahaprana, I used block letters. Okay, just so that it will come kind of intuitively. And then there are two things here at the end, jihvamuliya and upadmaniya. These are specific names for the pronunciation of visarga when it is followed by certain consonants. Okay, I mentioned earlier also the pronunciation of visarga depends on what letter follows. Okay, so jihvamuliya is how a visarga is pronounced if it is followed by ka and ka. Then the upadmaniya is the pronunciation of the visarga when if it is followed by pa and pa. Okay, so jihvamuliya is like a very like kind of sound, very throaty ka kind of sound is jihvamuliya. So that is why it comes under kanta. And upadmaniya is the sound very close to the F for sound in English. That is why it comes under the oshta or lips. Okay. Now this get the name ayogavaha because they are not independent. They need a carrier of an vowel before them.
Can you demonstrate the upadmaniya?
Okay, upadmaniya. So to demonstrate upadmaniya, we have a good demonstration later on when we go to the textbook.
Okay.
There is a subhashita. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that subhashita, we use that in grammar classes, especially for jihvamuliya and upadmaniya. Let me try that. Okay. I will just slowly say that word by word. I have it in the textbook. I put a text box, but I don't want to change the screen.
Okay.
Kākaha Krishnaha Pikaha Krishnaha. Okay, so you can see the visarga. Kākaha is crow. Kākaha Krishnaha. Crow is black. Okay. Pikaha Krishnaha. The nightingale is black, or cuckoo is black. Okay. So Kākaha Krishnaha, Pikaha Krishnaha. You see the Kākaha, the visarga of Kākaha is followed by the kakara of Krishna. So we pronounce that as a jihva mulya. Kākah Krishnaha. Okay. Then Pikah Krishnaha. That k sound before the k, kr is the jihva mulya. Kākah Krishnaha, Pikah Krishnaha. Okay, so that is the jihva mulya.
Okay.
Then the Subhashita goes, Kākah Krishnaha, Pikah Krishnaha, Kim Vedaha, Pika Kākayoho. So if I have to pronounce that with the visarga, the Kim Vedaha, Pika Kākayoho. So Vedaha is the visarga, immediately followed by Pikaha, pa. Okay, so that will become Kim Veda Pika Kākayoho. You hear that sound? That is the visarga because it is followed by a pa. It will become Kim Veda Pika Kākayoho. That is the first line of the Subhashita. So crow is black, cuckoo is black. What is the difference between the two? That is what the first line translates to. Okay. So next line says, Vasanta Kale Samprapte, when the spring season comes, Kākah Kākaha, Pikah Pikaha. So this last quarter, Kākah Kākaha. Okay, the sound is the jihva mulya.
Okay.
And then Pikah Pikaha. The full sound is Upadmaniya. Okay. So the meaning wise, when the spring season comes, you will know crow as a crow and cuckoo as a cuckoo.
Okay.
Is the demonstration okay? It will be much clearer if it is face to face. I did my
Yeah,
best.
I agree. I agree because I think I'm hard on hearing the difference. So it's a fa sound, fa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Upadmaniya, it's the fa sound. This is the closest to a F sound. Otherwise, in Sanskrita, you don't have a F sound.
And for Jivamulya is what sound?
Jihva mulya is the sound,
Oh.
like
Oh,
as if you are gargling.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because it is a visarga followed by a kantya, ka kha. Okay, Kākah Krishnaha, Pikah Krishnaha, Kim Veda Pika Kākayoho, Vasanta Kale Samprapte, Kākaha, Pikah Pikaha. So that's why that is a Subhashita we use for demonstrating Jihva mulya and Upadmaniya because it recurs in that Subhashita very often.
Thank you.
And easy to explain also. Okay, now we covered only 2 slides today. Anyway, any questions on this Swara and Vyanjanas? And we are going to cover this in a little more detail. I spent some more time here because I made this slide with the colors and other things, so that it's a lot more things are pretty explanatory in the single slide. And this similar pages are there in Medhaji's book also, but this is a little more illustrative because I could make that in color.
Yeah, this is more. This is beautiful. It's like beautiful.
You can look at the textbook also, where I think all these details are not there. I tried to pack all the things possible in one slide. Okay, now it is 7 o'clock, so let us stop here and go back to our prayer slide and do the concluding prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
In the Purnamadav,
Yeah, that is a Upadmaniya also. Good. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam.
Thank you, Jagdishacharya. Thank you
In
very much.
Shantish.
Yeah, that is not Upadmaniya because what follows is not ka, not pa. Okay. There is a Visarga Sandhi. We will cover that in the Visarga Sandhi. Why you say Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Jagdishji, it worked today for me.
All right. Very good.
Thank you.
No
Thank you,
problem.
Jagdishji.
Okay.
Thank
Raj
you.
has a question.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Raj. I just wanted to ask you if you were planning to share the slides as well.
Yeah, I will do it after the slides are done. Once we are done with that, I will post it because sometimes, like Premji probably said, oh, there's a typo. So I'll change that vowels. So because of those things, I didn't put that in there.
Okay.
Okay.
My job is not to learn, but to find faults in others.
Thank you. Somebody has to do the dirty job.
Hari
Otherwise,
Om, Hari Om.
otherwise I will be clean up.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you so much.
Hari Om.
Dukkha,
Yes.
that H dot, is that Jihva Mulya?
Yes, exactly. Dukkha. That's the right pronunciation. Dukkha. The presence of Visarga should be felt, and it can be felt only with Jihva Mulya.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hari Om.
Jagdishji, I had a suggestion regarding the recordings.
Yeah.
Last week I couldn't attend it, so I downloaded it. Have you considered putting it on YouTube so then we don't have to actually download it?
No, we are not going to put it in the YouTube.
Okay.
You can go to the Google Drive and listen to it.
Yeah, that's what I did, but it just takes a while to download. That's why I asked.
Okay. No, we have no plans of putting it in YouTube.
Okay.
So on the Google Drive, it will stay for how long?
I think it will stay forever.
Oh, great. Thank you.
And, if we run, we need more memory, then I think we'll buy it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.